Arvind Kejriwal anti-corruption activism. Parivartan and Kabir. In December 1999, while still in service with the Income Tax Department, Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia and others found a movement named Parivartan, which means change, in the Sundarnagar area of Delhi. A month later, in January 2000, Kejriwal took a sabbatical from work to focus on Parivartan. Parivartan addressed citizens' grievances related to public distribution system, PDS, public works, social welfare schemes, income tax and electricity. It was not a registered NGO, it ran on individual donations, and was characterized as a Jan Andolan, people's movement, by its members. Later, in 2005, Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia launched Kabir, a registered NGO named after the medieval philosopher Kabir. Like Parivartan, Kabir was also focused on RTI and participatory governance. However, unlike Parivartan, it accepted institutional donations. According to Kejriwal, Kabir was mainly run by Sisodia. In 2000, Parivartan filed a public interest litigation, PIL, demanding transparency in public dealings of the Income Tax Department, and also organized a satyagraha outside the Chief Commissioner's office. Kejriwal and other activists also stationed themselves outside the Electricity Department, asking visitors not to pay bribes and offered to help them in getting work done for free. In 2001, the Delhi government enacted a state-level Right to Information, RTI, Act, which allowed the citizens to access government records for a small fee. Parivartan used RTI to help people get their work done in government departments without paying a bribe. In 2002, the group obtained official reports on 68 public works projects in the area, and performed a community-led audit to expose misappropriations worth 7 million rupees in 64 of the projects. On December 14, 2002, Parivartan organized a Jan Sunvai, public hearing, in which the citizens held public officials and leaders accountable for the lack of development in their locality. In 2003, and again in 2008, Parivartan exposed a PDS scam, in which ration shop dealers were siphoning off subsidized food grains in collusion with civic officials. In 2004, Parivartan used RTI applications to access communication between government agencies and the World Bank, regarding a project for privatization of water supply. Kejriwal and other activists questioned the huge expenditure on the project, and argued that it would hike water tariffs tenfold, thus effectively cutting off the water supply to the city's poor. The project was stalled as a result of Parivartan's activism. Another campaign by Parivartan led to a court order that required private schools, which had received public land at discounted prices, to admit more than 700 poor kids without fee. Along with other social activists like Anna Hazare, Aruna Roy, and Shekhar Singh, Kejriwal came to be recognized as an important contributor to the campaign for a national-level Right to Information Act, enacted in 2005. He resigned from his job in February 2006, and later that year, he was given the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Emergent Leadership, for his involvement with Parivartan. The award recognized him for activating the RTI movement at the grassroots, and empowering New Delhi's poor citizens to fight corruption. By 2012, Parivartan was largely inactive. Sundarnagar, where the movement was concentrated, suffered from irregular water supply, unreliable PDS system and poorly done public works. Calling it ephemeral and delusionary in nature, Kejriwal noted that Parivartan's success was limited, and the changes brought by it did not last long. Public Cause Research Foundation. In December 2006, Kejriwal established the Public Cause Research Foundation in December 2006, together with Manish Sisodia and Abhinandan Sekhri. He donated his Ramon Magsaysay Award prize money as a seed fund. Besides the three founders, Prashant Bhushan and Kiran Bedi served as the foundation's trustees. This new body paid the employees of Parivartan. Kejriwal used the RTI Act in corruption cases in many government departments including the Income Tax Department, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, the Public Distribution System and the Delhi Electricity Board. Jan Lokpal Movement. In 2010, Kejriwal protested against corruption in the Commonwealth Games. He argued that the Central Vigilance Commission, CVC, did not have any powers to take any action against the guilty, while CBI was incapable of launching an unbiased investigation against the ministers who controlled it. He advocated appointment of public ombudsman, Lokpal at the center and Lokayuktas in states. In 2011, Kejriwal joined several other activists, including Anna Hazare and Kiran Bedi, to form the India Against Corruption, IAC Group. The IAC demanded enactment of the Jan Lokpal Bill, which would result in a strong ombudsman. The campaign evolved into the 2011 Indian anti-corruption movement. In response to the campaign, the government's advisory body, the National Advisory Council, drafted a Lokpal bill. However, the next bill was criticized by Kejriwal and other activists on the grounds that it did not have enough powers to take action against the Prime Minister, other corrupt officeholders in the judiciary. The activists also criticized the procedure for selection of Lokpal, the transparency clauses and the proposal to disallow the Lokpal from taking cognizance of public grievances. Amid continuing protests, the government constituted a committee to draft a Jan Lokpal bill. Kejriwal was one of the civil society representative members of this committee. However, he alleged that the IAC activists had an unequal position in the committee, and the government appointees kept ignoring their recommendations. The government argued that the activists could not be allowed to blackmail the elected representatives through protests. Kejriwal retorted that democratically elected representatives could not be allowed to function like dictators, and asked for a public debate on the contentious issues. The IAC activists intensified their protests, and Anna Hazare organized a hunger strike. Kejriwal and other activists were arrested for defying a police directive to give a written undertaking that they will not go to JP Park. Kejriwal attacked the government on this and said there was a need for a debate over police power to detain and release people at will. In August 2011, a settlement was reached between the government and the activists. Besides the government, the Jan Lokpal movement was also criticized by some citizens as undemocratic on the grounds that the ombudsman had powers over elected representatives. Arundhati Roy claimed that the movement was not a people's movement. Instead, it was funded by foreigners to influence policy making in India. She pointed out that the Ford Foundation had funded the emergent leadership category of the Ramon Magsaysay Award, and also donated $397,000 to Kejriwal's NGO Kabir. Both Kejriwal and Ford Foundation termed the allegations as baseless, stating that the donations were made to support the RTI campaigns. Besides, several other Indian organizations had also received grants from the Ford Foundation. Kejriwal also denied the allegations that the movement was a plot against the ruling Congress by the RSS, or that it was an upper caste conspiracy against the Dalits. By January 2012, the government had backtracked on its promise to implement a strong Jan Lokpal, resulting in another series of protests from Kejriwal and his fellow activists. These protests attracted lower participation compared to the 2011 protests. By mid-2012, Kejriwal had replaced Anna Hazare as the face of the remaining protesters. In 2015, during the second term of OP government in Delhi, the Jan Lokpal bill was passed by the assembly awaiting president's approval.